Energy. My energy levels go up and down. Sometimes I'm full of energy, and sometimes I'm drained of energy. Mornings are when my energy levels are high. I wake up ready to go. I don't need 30 minutes to wake up, like some people I know. For some reason, the food I eat doesn't affect how energetic I am. Some people feel tired after lunch, while others complain they need to eat something for an energy boost. I seem to have the same level of energy even if I eat nothing all day. The one thing that does affect my energy is the weather. A bright sunny day gives me lots of energy. A dull rainy day makes me feel less energetic. I also have a lot of energy if I'm doing something exciting, even if it's study or work.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day, and it is such a pleasure for me to be back again with a new lesson. Today we have Unit 16, as you see here, from Lesson 24. So today we have one of the most crucial topics to talk about. Why it's crucial? Why it's important? Today we will talk about, the first thing is giving a presentation, okay? So we usually pass through the university stage, right? During, let's say, university stage, we have to give multiple presentations a year. So in today's topic, we talk about how to give a formal presentation and how to respond to questions when the audiences ask questions. Okay, and the second topic that we talk about today is asking follow-up questions. Okay, so let's assume that you're an audience and you are listening to a presentation. Okay, the presenter is mentioning a topic which is not clear to you. So how do you ask follow-up questions? How do you ask multiple questions on a topic during or after the let's say the presentation? Okay, usually follow-up questions are short questions related to a specific topic. Okay, so let's look at the title of the lesson. It is I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about. We talked about this. Usually you link this preposition with the verb, okay? I'm here to talk, not to talk. I'm here to talk about. Link all of them together. I'm here to talk about. Okay, so look at the vocabulary section. It says check the things that you should do before, during, and after the job interview, okay? It is interview or interview. Both of them are correct. Interview or interview. Remember we talked about anti-syllables in the middle of a word. Okay, usually the T becomes silent, so you say interview. Okay, I'm talking about the American accent, but in a British accent it is interview. Before the interview, these are the things that you can do. It's not like an obligation. It's not a must. It's just an option to you. Rehearse with a friend. Rehearse means practice. Practice with a friend. Research the company. Search about the company. The company's profile, the company's history, everything related to the company. Okay, so I usually do this. Okay, prepare a list of questions. You can do this. Sometimes you have questions about the company, like, okay, how many employees do you have? Okay, this is a normal question you can ask during or after the interview. Send your resume. This is a must. Okay, because if you don't send your CV, by the way, resume means CV, because if you don't send your resume, then how do you expect to be shortlisted, and so they can invite you for an interview, right? Yeah, you must send your resume. Be punctual means be on time. Okay, for example, when they tell you, okay, your interview is at 10, Be there, let's say 15 minutes before 10. Okay, be there, let's say at 9:45. Be punctual. This is very important. Dress professionally. Well, this one is optional. This depends on the job. I personally had interviews where, let's say, dressing was not an important thing to consider. Okay. Well, for example, maybe you are you can, let's say, if you are being interviewed for a marketing manager, or let's say an officer who works in an office, then of course dressing professionally is an important factor to be recruited, okay, to be enrolled. So during and after the interview, be positive. Of course, you have to stay positive. Talk about what you don't like to do. This is optional. You can talk about the things that you don't like to do. Make eye contact. During the interview, it is really important to make an eye contact. Why? Because it shows your confidence. Okay? You tell the next person, you tell the interviewer, I'm confident of myself. And it's also important for stress managing. Okay? Stay calm. Don't be nervous. Calm. Say negative things. No, I don't encourage you to do that. Okay. Write a thank you note. Well, this is you can do after the interview. It shouldn't be a note. You can just tell the interviewer, thanks for giving me this opportunity. I'm really honored to have this interview here. Thanks so much for your time, or your precious time. Okay, this is it. These are the things that you can do. I have checked something, while they might be not important to you. Maybe dressing professional is important to you, but for me, those job interviews that I had so far, dressing was not a big factor. Okay, it was not a big plus. Okay, so let's summarize everything together, okay? Because in part B it says, explain your answers to your partner. Basically, why did you check these things here, these options here? I'm going to summarize all of them together, and so you can have an idea how to talk about them. Okay. So, before an interview, in my opinion, you should research the company. You should know a little bit about the company's history and the company's profile. You do this because you eventually have to decide, is this the right company to work in? Next, after I explore the company, I send my CV, I send my resume through email, or sometimes they suggest you to send it over social applications like Viber and WhatsApp, which I personally don't prefer because it's more professional to send it over email. Okay? Then when I am going to be shortlisted, I will try my best to be punctual, and I will try to be there 15 minutes before my interview so they know I'm punctual and I do care about this interview. Next, during the interview, I firmly believe, I strongly believe, making eye contact is one of the most important factors to be enrolled, to be recruited. Okay, recruit. Okay, this is recruit. Okay, recruit means that. Okay, so the next thing that you must do during the interview is to stay calm. Please don't feel nervous, because if you feel nervous, then you will lose your control and you don't know how to answer the questions. Next, at the end of the interview, I usually tell the interviewer, thanks so much for your time. I was honored today to have this interview in this company. And you can also ask a question, when do you give me, or when do you send over your final result through email? This is your right. You can ask, when do you give me your final answer? Okay, you can ask that question too. This is how you summarize the things that we have talked about so far. So let's move to the conversation section and also do part B and part B2. Okay, so now it says listen. What is the speaker giving a presentation about? What is one tip that the speaker offers? Okay, you ready? Let's listen to audio track number 40.
Lesson 16. I'm here to talk about page 38. Conversation. A. Listen. What is the speaker giving a presentation about? What is one tip that the speaker offers?
I'm here to talk about how to have a successful interview. First, I want to talk about how to prepare. Before you go to your interview, research the company to learn about the company's goals and policies. You should also rehearse with a friend. Next, let's explore ways to make a good first impression. It's very important to be punctual. If you're late for your interview, your prospective employer may think that you're irresponsible. It's also important to be positive. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. At the beginning of your presentation, you said we should research the company. Should we prepare a list of questions to ask?
Yes, that is definitely a good idea.
Okay, we'll come back. Let's do part B. It says, practice the conversation, then find the best places to add the sentences below to the conversation and practice it again. So, here it says, research the company, okay, to learn about the company's goals and policies. Okay, policy means rules. You should also rehearse with a friend. That way you won't be nervous. So number 2, next. Your prospective employer may think that you're irresponsible. It's also important to be positive. Number 1. No one wants to hire a person with a bad attitude. Attitude. Okay. Next. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, you in the front row. The one who's really close to you, front row. Next. Well, should we prepare a list of questions to ask? Is that okay to do? Number 4. Okay. Next, language booster. Here we summarize everything that we have studied so far. Okay, so notice the ways that we give presentations and ask follow-up questions. Here we how do we give a presentation, and here how we ask follow-up questions. Okay, so giving a presentation. Usually we start the presentation with these 2 expressions, or let's say with these 2 phrases. Today I'm going to talk about how to find a job. Let's say this was it. Or let's say I'm here to talk about how to find a job. Today I'm going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Or I'm here to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of internet, pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, okay? This is it, okay? When you start your conversation, it's usually, let's say, polite, and it is, let's say, more professional to start in this way. First, I want to talk about the pros, or let's say, advantages of AI, artificial intelligence. First, I would like to talk about the advantages of internet. Okay. First, I want to talk about the advantage, or let's say, pros of searching for a job through internet. Next, let's explore the disadvantages of internet. Or next, let's explore the disadvantage of AI, artificial intelligence. Okay. Or let's explore the disadvantage of searching for a job through internet. Okay. Or let's say, next, let's talk about how should we set a goal. Next, let's talk about the deadline of goals. Okay, to conclude or to wrap up, this is how you finish your presentation. Okay, this is how you finish your presentation. To conclude, to wrap up. How? For example, when you talked about the advantages and disadvantages of the internet, then you can say this at the end of your at the end of your presentation. You can say, well, to conclude, using internet can have advantages and disadvantages. It's you who gives promotion to the advantage or disadvantage. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? This is really polite to ask at the end of your presentation. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Asking follow-up questions. We talked about this. If you're in an audience, then how do you ask follow-up questions? So what's follow-up question? The presenter mentions a topic. The topic is not clear to you. So you ask follow-up questions and you say, okay, could you say more about? Well, you talked about the advantages of internet. Well, could you say more about the disadvantages of internet? Well, let's talk about the next one. Well, you mentioned the deadline of setting goals. Okay, you told us that when you set a goal, you have to have deadlines. But what about long-term goals and short-term goals? Do they have to have the same deadline? Can you explain it further? Okay. Or you can say at the beginning of your presentation, you said internet has more advantage than disadvantage. So can you give us more information about it? Can you explain it more? Can you clarify it more? Okay, because clarify also means explanation. Okay, next. You talked about, let's say, could you say more about the disadvantage of AI, artificial intelligence? Well, could you give, so this is important. Could you say, or let's say here, could you give more examples of using artificial intelligence in crimes? Okay, because as you know, sometimes artificial intelligence is used for crimes too. Okay, this is how you use these phrases and sentences or during the presentation. So part B says take turns giving the beginning of presentation and asking follow-up questions. Only the beginning of presentation. So here it says, today I'm going to talk about good ways to look up for a job. First, I want to talk about networking. Networking means your friend and your friends have jobs. So when there is a job, they inform you. This is called networking. In Kurdish, it's sometimes like wasta, something like that. Okay, a lot of people find jobs through people they know. Okay, you mentioned networking. Could you explain it more? This is follow-up question. Okay, and this is how you give a presentation or how you start the conversation. Let's switch to the listening section. It says, listen to someone is giving a presentation. What is he talking about? Check the correct topic and also listen again. So we do these part A and part B together. Okay, so when I play the audio track, please pay attention. We solve this one, then we solve this one too. Write down 4 of the tips he offers, 4 of the notes. Tip means note. Okay, let's listen to the audio track, which is audio track number 41.
But if you don't do it, how will you ever move up at work? Move up at work?
Page 39. Listening. A and B.
Today I'm going to talk about tips for asking for a promotion or a raise at work. A lot of people feel uncomfortable asking for promotions and raises, but it's really all a part of the working world. First, I want to talk about ways that you can prepare yourself to ask for a raise or promotion. One thing you can do is research your company's pay policies. Does your company offer a set salary increase after every year or 2 years? Does your company publish its pay rates? Another thing you can do is ask your supervisor or manager what you need to do in order to receive a raise or promotion. Then, make sure you do the things that your boss expects you to do. Next, let's explore how to actually convince your boss that you deserve a raise or a promotion. When you talk to your boss, don't expect to get a raise because you just moved into a more expensive apartment. Instead, it's important to discuss what you bring to the company. One good way to do this is to set up a meeting right after you've had a big achievement, like successfully completing a big project. And during your meeting with your boss, dress professionally, make eye contact, and be positive. It may also be a good idea to rehearse the meeting with a friend. That may help you stay calm during the actual meeting. To wrap up, I just want to say that no matter how nervous you are about asking for a raise or a promotion, you should just give it a shot. It may be a scary thing to do, but if you don't do it, how will you ever move up at work? All right. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. You mentioned that a company might publish its pay rates. Could you explain that further?
Of course. Some companies have set pay rates for the different positions in the company. These are usually pay ranges. You can talk to your human resources department to find out if this information is available. Any other questions?
Could you say more about rehearsing with a friend?
Sure. When you rehearse, you role-play your meeting. You practice explaining to your boss the reasons why you think you deserve more money or more responsibility. It can also help to switch roles. That way, when you are playing the part of your boss, you can get an idea of how he or she might feel when you make your request.
This was it. So now we move to speak with confidence section, and it says think of a topic that you know a lot about. Complete the chart below about the topic. Okay, we have the name of the topic, point 1, point 2, and conclude idea. Okay, so let's move to the conversation section. Welcome back everyone to the conversation section. Okay, so today we will talk about AI. We talk about AI actually. I'm going to talk about what is AI. You talk about the advantage of AI. I'm going to talk about the disadvantage of AI. You talk about the, let's say, the conclusion. Okay? I give a brief, you talk about the advantage. I talk about the disadvantage, you talk about the conclusion. Okay? So, first of all, well, AI means artificial intelligence, and the computer science has been expanded with this AI, or in other words, artificial intelligence. As the name implies, artificial means human-made, something that we can make it. And intelligent means something that is smart and can comprehend, can understand things, and can also decide. Okay? AI, artificial intelligence, has advantages and disadvantages. Okay? So now I'm going to talk about the advantage of AI. This was great. So while we talked about the advantage of AI, AI has also disadvantages. For example, When AI is used in making robots, and robots are used in factories, and then they replace human or individuals, right? This increased the rate of jobless people around the world, and this is a big problem. Now you talk about the conclusion. This was it. This is the end of today's topic, and peace out until the next lesson. Have a wonderful night, and bye-bye.